All right, welcome back in for our weekly basketball press conference. We're joined now by head coach of the Roadrunner men's basketball team, Mike Scott, and at this time we will open it up for questions.
Well, Coach, I know all the games are big, but how big is this game against Cal Poly when you look at the big picture?
It's huge. It's a huge game for us. Obviously, our next conference game, but it's huge for us to try to get us off to a good kickstart to try to make the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, this week alone, you've got a team that you're right behind, and then another team that you've beaten once. I mean, this week with 2 home games would seem to be crucial if you guys want to be in the conversation for Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, just sheer numbers-wise, in terms of how many games is left and our ability to try to win some, to try to get into the tournament this weekend will be huge for us.
All right, as we spoke before, when you were in Hawaii, Caleb's done for the season, correct?
Yes.
Ready? Okay. Where are we on CJ right now? What kind of progress?
He's walking. So he had a week and a half with no weight on his foot, and now he's walking. So it's a little bit ahead of schedule in terms of his ability to be able to walk now. But optimistically speaking, hopefully we can get him back for our last couple games.
Okay. Jaden Alexander.
Still up in the air. We don't know. He'll get evaluated probably the end of this week on where he's at and where his fracture is at.
But he won't play Thursday, right?
I doubt it.
Okay.
I doubt it, yeah.
All right. Are there any other walking wounded?
We got a couple guys just banged up. Ron's been dealing with a groin that's been kind of bothering him, so we've been tender with that. And Tom's knee kind of flared up on him a little bit, but those guys are battling through it. Those guys are fighting through it. So,
yeah. So Ron did not play against Hawaii. Was it the groin or something else?
Just a coach's decision. Trying to keep him and get him prepared for this week.
So he will play this week?
I hope so.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Okay. But is this a health thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what about Cal Poly? When you look at them, what do you see?
Cal Poly is one of those teams that they give you nightmares a little bit because they're a team that they shoot so many threes. I think they averaging like 35 threes per game right now. And what you traditionally saw is that when they shoot the ball extremely well, they're a hard team to beat no matter who they're playing. When they're kind of off and on making shots and stuff like that, you kind of give yourself an opportunity to kind of separate yourself in the game a little bit. So for us, I think it's going to come down to something I've been harping on all year long is we have to hold them to one shot. We can't allow them to get multiple opportunities at being able to shoot the threes that they took, because they'll go from scoring 67 to 90.
At the same time, when they've lost a few lopsided losses, really.
Mm-hmm.
The Santa Barbara game and then the recent one, I can't remember who they lost to, but they lost. What are they susceptible to? What are you guys able to do offensively against this team? Because they've been giving up some points.
We got to take advantage of them inside. They don't have a shot blocker. They're traditionally a pretty small team, even though they got some big guys that come off the bench and play for them. We got to take advantage of them inside. We got to make our easy ones. We got to get to the free throw line and make our free throws and shoot the ball. We got to shoot the ball with some confidence.
So what's your message to the guys? I mean, it's been a tough go of late, but the one game in Hawaii at least gave you time to, either rest and or just regroup. What's the message to the guys as you get ready for Thursday?
Get to the tournament. That's been our motivation. It's been one of our goals. It's still achievable. We're still right there. We're still where we need to be. As we get guys back and as guys kind of trickle back onto the team, like if we can just kind of hold it down until they do come back, and that's kind of what we rallied around. All the guys are still bought in. They all still want to get to Henderson. Their goals and stuff hasn't changed. Now it's just we got to put the action behind it to get there. So our message has been the same. We got to get better today. We got to get better tomorrow. So that way when we start to continue to play well, we want to be pushing that towards the end of February.
When it comes to Cal Poly and then Riverside, and I would imagine even Fullerton and Davis are in the equation. It's scoreboard watching, I would imagine, time too, isn't it?
I don't necessarily. A lot of it for me is just the daily grind of trying to make sure that we're playing good basketball. It's been such an up and down year in terms of kind of where guys are. Like, some of our league, you go watch the scoreboard and you look at a team, you're like, how did that happen? And then you look at another team, like, how did that happen, right? So, like, I think for us it's more like we need to be playing good ball these last few games. Like, we have to be playing some of our best basketball these last few games in order to move forward the way we want to. And I don't know if watching the scoreboard helps that when you see a team. Like, I think Riverside can go in and beat anybody on a given night. I think Davis can go beat anybody on a given night. I think Fullerton has shown they'll just go beat anybody on a given night, right? So you kind of stay away from that a little bit and try to focus more on, like, look, when we play them, we need to be playing well. What is our advantage and how do we take advantage of that in some of these games?
Yeah. And finally for me, about that though, and I forgot CSUN. So CSUN, Davis, Riverside, and Cal Poly. You haven't even seen Fullerton yet. So you have 6 games against those teams, but 4 are at home. You got to like the opportunity that is in front of you instead of hoping somebody else does it for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right now, we still control our own destiny. We're not waiting for other teams to lose. We have an opportunity to go kind of put ourselves in position to be successful. And like I told the guys, like, it's not like we just can't win a game. Like we just got to make sure that we're playing good basketball at that time. And we have a really good opportunity ahead of us with 2 home games, or games that I think we should be able to go and get. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're joined now by head coach of our Roadrunner women's basketball team, Ari Weidman, and at this time we'll open up for questions for coach.
So you had
Hold on a second.
Oops.
All right, go ahead. I'll have to check it out on
Go.
online.
Okay, yep, we'll open up for questions now.
Okay.
So you come off one game, 1 week, 1 week, 1 game at home, now back to 2 and both on the road.
Yeah.
Your thoughts as you guys get ready to embark on that and starting with Cal Poly?
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I like being on the road. Sometimes even better than home. But no, just happy to have another opportunity. I think this is against two teams that, well, we hadn't seen Cal Poly, but we competed well against UC Davis. So excited for that rematch. And then Cal Poly we've been prepping for all week. So ideally we just put everything together. And so they've had good practices. Now, putting the whole 40 minutes will be critical.
Yeah. You didn't seem real pleased after the Hawaii game, so what have you sort of emphasized during the time between now and then?
Yeah, we went through just our ranking scale of shot selection, and a lot of them were at low numbers, and it's hard to win games if you're not taking great shots. So we've emphasized that, and then again, like I told you, just pressing, just making sure we're sharpening our tools there and being able to apply more defensive pressure.
You did have some success in backcourt pressure.
Yeah.
But maybe that was just Hawaii. Maybe I don't know what the guards look like at Cal Poly or whatever.
Yeah.
But is that something you might do more often?
Yeah, plan to do that the rest of the way. Ideally stay healthy, but we need to create some chaos defensively, and so that'll be a huge emphasis the rest of the way.
Is it something that you're willing to sort of run the risk of, maybe foul trouble for certain people, but you'll just rotate people in and out and just keep pressuring?
Yeah, I'm at that place. So and most of our players have got, more reps this week, and so we want to try to, play more people, just go deep in our bench as long as everyone can, press, so we can get some easy offense, fresh legs.
Like with Mike, time's running short if it were Henderson, and I don't know whether it's big picture or you don't look big picture, you just try to fix the here and now, but what are your thoughts in terms of big picture?
Yeah, big picture, I mean, look, we're in a much better place, and so I don't want to let time speed me up. Like, time is, to me, it's just a concept. It's putting pressure, where I need to be like a clear thinker and long term, which is my process. So I don't want to get distracted by that. However, I'm going to keep emphasizing that we get 1% better every day. And so I know that when those habits are correct, the outcome will take care of itself. So I don't want to get distracted, and sometimes I can, but I don't want to get distracted by extra noise. Like, we need to be 1% better in the categories that we've identified, and then, everything else will follow. And so Vegas will take care of itself if your habits are good.
Yeah. Do you see a path, though, just schedule-wise, where if you just beat who you think you should beat, that you can get there?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like right now we're the 9 seed, and so we're 1 game behind the 8. And then the next team has 4 wins, and so we've just got to take care of the ones that we need to, and then try to steal some, against some higher ranked opponents. But everything is still intact. But obviously, these are, in a sense, this one's a must win, right? But that must win will happen if we stick to game plan and we do all of our normal tasks right. I don't want to put pressure on our players. I just want them to do their job at a high level. Like, that's where my pressure will be. Are you doing your job at a high level? Not that you're worried about external things, because I can't control that. And so I just want to stay focused on that and have that same approach with them.
Yeah. So we discussed this briefly after the Hawaii game, but usually when you're at home, I'm on the road with the men, and vice versa and all that kind of stuff. So I don't usually cover a Saturday game because I'm usually off, but I did this particular week, and I was surprised, as you discussed, about the lack of quality of shots. A lot of them looked like to be Hail Mary runners, and trying to just hit something and whatnot. Not many shots that seemed to be open and or squared up. Has that been a regular occurrence? Was that just an anomaly that we saw against Hawaii, and how troubling was that to you, that whether it was decision making or just not the ability to move the ball enough to get it to the open person to get a good look instead of an average look?
Yeah, it hadn't happened as of late, and that game was just, it was brutal. you know. Like I was talking to my own performance coach about just when you can't control things and the shot selection is wrong, it's like you feel like you really have no control, you know, and like your team's not playing to the things you teach. And so that can't happen. And I know that people's length can maybe change some of those things, but I don't want that. I don't want to see that anymore. And so we've addressed that. But yeah, I mean, look, if teams are evenly matched offensively, like the shot selection is going to be the separator, right? And if we're not shooting a high percentage and we're taking bad shots, it's not going to look good. And then the momentum shifts. Like if your teammate takes a bad shot, you're less likely to run back, you know, if it's a terrible one. And those things just affect the flow of the game. And so, you know, had those hard conversations and move forward. But yeah, I don't like when, you know, we're not playing the way we teach the game, right? And so that was frustrating. That's why I was frustrated against Hawaii, honestly. But then seeing that the pressure helped, you know, it's like, okay, if we defend and we take high quality shots based on our shot selection scale, which everyone knows in our system what a good shot is. And so I think that's where it's like, okay, how am I going to address this? How are we going to keep reemphasizing the importance of the shots that we desire versus like us taking poor ones, you know? And you can't play if you can't take good shots because it's not playing for the team, right? And I'm all about the team, like no matter what.
So finally, along those lines, and I know it's a small sample size, but were some of the bad shots a product of just end of shot clock, or were bad shots because of bad decisions?
Bad decisions. There were times where it was early in the shot clock and we're taking what I would call a 5, which is a contested shot. And like, let's move the ball again from side to side. Let's run through our actions. And there were moments where early on, if we're running an action and the first look, we're walking to the spot and we're 2 minutes in the game. So like, I'm going to lose my mind because that's not how you should be playing and you're fresh, right? So yeah, no. It's like a lot of them were early in the shot clock. And I think if you're taking 5s, which are not great shots, they're contested to me, at like 12 seconds and under, really 8 seconds and under, that makes more sense than taking a poor shot early in the shot clock. That's just dangerous, you know? And so we have to avoid that.
Yeah. And I did notice at least, and again, my apologies for being a small sample size, but when they got into this, when some of the players got into the paint, they just, I don't know if it was they got hurried up or they got panicked, whatever. It looked like there were a couple low percentage pocket passes that I was just going, wow, that's never going to get through.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering what you saw, because again, you see them every day in terms of just the being able to make a tough play easier or better or pull it out or whatever, because it just seemed like they got into a traffic jam and they couldn't get out of the traffic jam.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to like our philosophy of pace, space, create. I don't think our spacing was great. And I know that length can make you sometimes like want to run to the ball, but you really need to expand it so that there's longer closeouts and things like that. And we were like in spots where we'd be in like the wings and the slots, and that's not our spacing. It would be like deep corner slots or wings. And so when you're this close, it makes it so easy for the defense to guard. And so our spacing was poor. And then like I call it church in the paint. When you get in the paint and everyone lays hands on you, like that's what Hawaii's defense and a lot of teams in our conference do. They'll load to the ball. So like you can get in the paint, land on 2 feet, 3 or 4 people are on you. So you have to get the paint touch, be strong with the ball, and then spray it out. And we did a poor job of, we got too deep in the paint, and then you're in trouble, you know, when there's length around you, and then we had deflections or we traveled. And so it's just like finding that middle ground of an early paint touch and then moving it, brushing. And so we just didn't stick with that part of the game plan, and that's what we prepped for all week. We were like, we're going to get a piece of the paint and then move it instead of getting deep in the paint like at the RA, getting stuck and then getting in trouble. So we got too deep at times.
And specifically, what can you tell me about Cal Poly?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to their head coach, but I mean, they're young. I don't know what's going on. One of their better players is out this week, or she hasn't played for 2 games, maybe concussed, I don't know. But a team that, you know, they play really hard. I know their coach coaches them hard, play really hard, more of an, you know, trying to get paint touches. Their kids are just young. They're trying to figure it out, right? You can see that a little bit. But if Zero's back, a great scorer, one of the top scorers in our conference. So they have some guards who can get after it. They're 4 or 5 man can pick and pop, so they can space the floor a little bit, but they mix up their defenses at times, zone, but mostly man. But they just have two kids who really are pretty special, and so we got to take those guys away. And I think if we do that, then we're in a really good spot. And they turned the ball over, I think 26 times against Fullerton, who pressures really well. So obviously we want to play to pressure so that we can try to generate some easy offense and get deflections and score off some turnovers.
Right, good.
Head coach.
Awesome.
Time.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Arnie, appreciate it.